You want to do it? Just not bold.
I'm going to turn the meeting over now to our solicitor, Mr. Barrett, for the reorganization part.
We have board members who just got elected for a new term, as you can also on here. We have President Judge Maureen Byrne, a graduate of Ashland High School, who's going to swear these board members in for us.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I do solemnly swear. That I will support. Obey and defend. The Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of this Commonwealth. And that I will discharge. The duties of my office. With fidelity.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The one with the header on it, you can keep. And it's shareable.
While Mr. Barrett collects those, we're going to invite Mr. Wagaman and Athens Reflections up front.
So I'm Mr. Wagman, the music director at the high school, and this is the Reflections Choir. We're in the midst of preparing for our concerts coming up this month. We have the high school band and orchestra concert tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, the high school, and then next Wednesday is the concert choir and Reflections concert. And we're gonna sing the White Water Hymn.
I was following the eye, 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 was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with swords of red tied round their throats, to keep their little hands from falling in the snow. And I turned round, and there you go, and I knew you would go, and turned all white, so red as strawberries in the summertime.
Mr. Wagner, before they run away,
Yes.
did you have them introduce themselves to the board? Real quick?
Sure, we can do that.
Thank you.
Um,
Name, grade,
Sure, we'll start sprinkles and everything else.
Hi, I'm Bailey Brown, I'm in ninth grade. I'm Allison Bosford, I'm in 10th grade. I'm Alexandria Agnolino, and I'm in 12th grade.
Hi, I'm Mason Oldroyd, and I'm in 12th grade. I'm Nathan Gowan, in 12th grade. I'm Ronell Uncombe, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Daniel Teeter from 12th grade.
I'm Connor Renninger, 11th grade.
I'm Anderson McKeever, 11th grade.
Hi, I'm Ethan Arpes, I'm in 9th grade. I'm Pierce Oldroyd, and I'm in 9th grade.
I'm Alistair Gordon, and I'm in 12th grade.
I'm Vaughn Magnus, and I'm in 12th grade.
Connor Brown, I'm in 12th grade.
I'm Ruby Hinson, I'm in 12th grade. Miranda Garner, 12th grade. Ellen Brackle, 11th grade. Charlie Kane, 11th grade. I'm Naima Beeman, 11th grade. I'm Audrey Claire, and I'm in 11th grade.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Barrett, we'll turn it back over to you for reorganization.
This is our reorganizational meeting where we are required to elect officers, president and vice president for the coming year. It's been suggested that I would be temporary president to run the election. I would need a motion in the minutes to appoint me as temporary president, please. Do we
I
have-
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
As temporary president, I will open nominations for president. They do not require a second. We just need a nomination. We have a motion to nominate John Chernowski. Do we have any further nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close nominations.
Motion.
We have a motion and a second to close nominations for president. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those in favor of John Chernowski as president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. I declare John Chernowski as the president of the Athens Area School Board. At this time, I will open nominations for vice president. Do I have any nominations for vice president?
I make a motion for Kathy Jo Minnick.
We have a nomination for Kathy Jo Minnick. Is there any other further nominations? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to close nominations. I need a second, please.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nominations are closed. All those in favor of Kathy Jo's nomination for vice president signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, Kathy Jo is elected vice president of the Athens Area School Board. Now, this doesn't happen very often, but I believe, John, you were the treasurer of the school district. Normally, we elect a treasurer in the spring. This time, we will have to elect one to serve John's term because he cannot, you obviously are resigning as treasurer and accepting the position as president. So I will open nominations for treasurer of the Athens Area School Board.
Nominate Natalie Smart.
Hearing, do we have any other nominations? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to close nominations. second, please? I have a motion and a second to close nominations for treasurer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Hearing none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of Natalie, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. I declare Natalie elected as treasurer of the Athens Area School District. Natalie, your term will run until the May meeting. You understand that? At this time, it's my pleasure to turn the meeting over to our new president, John Sharonowski. Whether you're moving up in the world or down, but.
Here. You and I can share.
Yes, we did.
Okay. So we have a student representative tonight. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Taylor Walker, and I'm the Secretary of the Student Council. We do not have a formal report at this time, so I'll just keep it brief. The class of 2022 has begun their popcorn sale, as mentioned from last report. We got our winter ball planned at the Sayre Elks Club, January 8th. The Student Council program has decided to partake in Christmases for Kids this year, which I believe will happen over Christmas break. And on Friday, December 10th, they will also be shopping for a family in need from the district. The Science Olympiad team will start with their first virtual meet this weekend. And it's officially winter sports season. So the wrestling will open this Saturday with a Jarvis tournament with both the boys and the girls club. And there are 11 days of school left until Christmas break. So we're looking forward to that. You're welcome.
Delay the board representatives until the next meeting that we have in January. So we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes for Tuesday, November 9th, the regular meeting minutes. If there's no objection, we'll use unanimous consent for that. Okay, so that's passed. Our next is our committee reports. We only have one committee tonight, and that is our extracurricular activity committee. And I believe Mr. Sullivan is here for that. Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening. Welcome to the board, to our two new members. I'm JB Sullivan. I'm the Director of Athletics and Youth Programs here for the district, and I look forward to working with you. It was great seeing the reflections and Taylor just now. So many of those people are athletes and show that they do a multitude of different activities here at Athens, so that's wonderful. We're going to start by recognizing a few of our exceptional teams and athletes from the fall season. First, we have our Athens golf team. Right here, we have Coach Penka. Also representing them is Dylan Saxon and Evan Cooper. Dylan was a second team All-Star this year, and Evan was a first team All-Star, and also Cam Sullivan was a first team All-Star, and the golf team was NTL champions. And we'll recognize them all at the end. Also, right behind them is our boys soccer team. Boys soccer team was also NTL champions as well. They're represented obviously by a large portion of the team. Coach Lezak had to go to a structure fire tonight, so he couldn't be here, but he planned to be. But Coach Lezak and Coach Lane and all the boys did an outstanding job this year. They had a big victory over Wellsboro on the road late in the season to clinch the title for them and win the NTL. So that was outstanding. Also right here, we have Isaac Hobday. Isaac, he won 3 gold medals this year in the state championships at the Special Olympics at Villanova University. He won the 3,200 meters, the 5K, and the 10K. Gold medals in all 3. So outstanding job by Isaac. I'm tired just thinking about 10K run. Also here, we have our other state qualifiers in cross country, as well as Coach Riley and Coach Bronson. We have Sarah and Amber Bronson, who competed in the AA girls race, as well as Matt Gorsline right here. That is extremely hard to qualify for this race, and it was a great accomplishment by all of them. So I'd like to congratulate all of our fall sports champions that represented our school and our community so well. And Ms. Walker kind of went over some of the activities we have going on this weekend with winter sports starting, but Friday is the first play date for winter sports. So of course we have very full schedules going forward as our teams start there. Another item of note is we've started our rec program, after school rec program at both Lynch and SRU. We've been averaging about 50 kids per day that they go Monday through Thursdays from 3 to 5 p.m. They get to take part in fun activities, puzzles, games, arts and crafts, Foursquare, etc. Give them something to do after school in kind of a more unstructured situation where they can have fun and be with their friends. So that's going well so far. A quick note on our swimming co-op with SARE, that the co-op is in place as far as PIAA goes, but as so far we've reached out to SARE a few times and they're trying to recruit kids over there. We do not have any SARE kids on the Athens team as of now.
You say that again?
We do not have any SARE kids on the Athens team as of now, as of this date right now. So
When's the deadline?
well, you know, as far as people can join teams at different parts in the season, but ideally they would have started November 19th when practice started. But as of now, none have so far.
0 swimmers.
Correct.
Thank you.
Lastly, and we're here, we had an extracurricular meeting in November where we talked about all these issues that I've touched on so far, but we also discussed the idea of starting a girls wrestling team here at Athens. There's an organization called Sanction PA that has a tremendous movement, and girls wrestling has become an emerging sport in PIAA, which means it's not an officially sanctioned PIAA sport yet, but it has 25 different teams that are already official girls teams within the state. We held a try it out practice, open mat last month, and we had a significant turnout. More than 20 kids, girls showed up, K through 12. And we have 5 different girls who are in 9 through 12 who are looking to wrestle at the high school level this year, and 5 more at junior high. Our girls would have additional opportunities if we started an official team. They'd be able to compete in more tournaments, and we even have a tentative schedule where they'd really it'd be a huge benefit for them if we do this, for them to be able to participate and compete. Another advantage that we have is we wouldn't have to take on any additional coaching. Coach White and Coach Bradley, and as well as their assistants, would coach both teams, but we would also always have a female with the girls team at any competitions. The team wouldn't require any additional equipment or any additional uniforms. We have those in stock with 2-piece uniforms that the boys used in the past. A nominal cost to the district we would have some transportation costs, but most of the time that would be the Catmobile, which would be, you know, of course, cheaper than a bus. Mr. Mosier and myself had a long phone meeting with Brooke Zumas, who heads this sanctioned PA girls wrestling movement. And following our extracurricular meeting, the group unanimously was in support of this being brought to the whole board with our recommendation of approving this girls team to become an official team of the school. I can help you guys now with any questions that you may have.
Mr. Sullivan, if I may, if you would notice on your agenda, you'll notice on number 17, I think it is, you'll see an official voting action to approve the formation of a high school girls wrestling program. That is the recommendation of the extracurricular committee. So
correct.
It's on the agenda currently for vote.
Correct.
Emerging sport, or is this actually going to be a sport for PIAA now?
My expectation is that it will eventually become an official PIAA sport. Currently, this year it is an emerging sport, which means it's there are some differences, but us forming a team, it helps with the, you know, getting towards that 100-team number where PIAA will look at it for an official sport. And it also helps with the girls being able to have additional opportunities to participate If we don't form the team, they're limited in some tournaments and capacities of being able to compete, because if we don't have an official girls team, then it goes against our boys competition points and they wouldn't be able to do so. So those are kind of some of the main reasons why it would be important for us to hopefully vote yes on this. Yep.
Is there any other schools, locally NTL schools that would be also participating just for some?
Correct. There are no NTL schools. There's a District 4 school in Milton. There's 6 schools in District 2, including one Western Wayne that is coming here for a boys tournament on the 22nd. The idea, if approved, we could actually have a girls dual meet with Western Wayne, kind of the first one here on the 22nd in between rounds of the boys tournament. So that would be kind of a neat thing. A lot of PSAC schools now are having girls wrestling teams. Elmira College has a girls wrestling team. So there's certainly opportunities at the next level too, if they're good enough to do that. So, but yeah, the guys, luckily Coach Bradley and Coach White, they are very, very cued in with Pennsylvania wrestling. And of course, you know that, and they they have a whole tentative schedule that we could go to get the girls competitions, you know, assuming approval today.
Ensure you the transportation issues and that's
Yeah,
all.
we did. Most of the time, we'd probably use the Catmobile with availability as far as if the girls were going to a separate event. So that cost would be less than, say, taking a full-size bus for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Okay. Up to Superintendent Report. Mr. Craig, Mr. Stage.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will keep it relatively brief. I encourage everybody to find their way to the district website and complete the culture and climate survey. We do that every 2 years, and we're up to do it this year. The survey links are for community members and for parents. There's also links for faculty, staff, and students. So I encourage people to take time and fill out a survey. We appreciate your feedback. It helps our district move forward. Want to address one quick issue. Snow days, which probably may happen in the future because it's getting to be that time of year. Many people ask, are you going to use FID days, the flexible instruction days, or are you going to be using your snow days? I will let everyone know we're going to be exhausting our weather makeup days first before we have a conversation about whether we want to use our flexible instruction days or not. And a flexible instruction day is simply kids work remotely, kids and staff work remotely that day, and it still counts as a day of instruction. We had to apply to the state for that, and we were given approval to have up to 5 of those per year. Just wanted to kind of clarify that, and we'll put out some information about that in the near future. I'd like to thank all of our student athletes that were here tonight and Reflections. It truly is remarkable when you can get these students in one space to see how tremendously talented they are. And we should be very proud as a school district that they represent us so well. That concludes my brief report. Everybody have a safe and happy holidays if I don't see you, and we'll be back here after the new year.
Could you please contact Mrs., is it Dr. Delaroso from SARE and let her know that there were 0 swimmers?
Yeah, Dr. Delogia, I can definitely contact her and let her know. Yep.
Thank you.
I will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Stage. Last IU 17, we have nobody right now. NTCC, Northern Tier, we have nobody. PSBA, Mr. Jones, any report? Okay. And then next is Solicitor's Report, Mr. Barrett.
As I reported in the last several meetings, we are still working on the 2 assessment appeals with Lowe's and Walmart. We have pretrial scheduled either next week or the week after. And we are attempting to get together with our appraiser to fine tune a demand for settlement. As I've explained to you before, we get hit by the common level ratio, which is applied if there's any reduction, which basically would gut our assessment from half fair market value to a quarter, which basically, if you do the math in your head, that cuts our tax revenue in half. So we're working to do the best we can to recover as much as we can for the school district. One bright spot is both of these buildings are building on and adding to it. So these assessments will only be for 2 years, last year and this year. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. It is now time for visitor comments on board action items only. Please give your name, address, organization which you represent, and subject matter. It is requested that the comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Do we have any visitor comments on board action items?
How's it going? My name is Larry Chilson. I live here in Athens, own business. I want to know who's in charge of the curriculum around here for the school? That's a very good question. Yes.
That, you can ask that question. This is for things that are on the agenda currently. And we have another section for that question.
So
we get done voting.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wait then.
Okay.
Yeah, stick around and come back up.
Thank you. Any other visitor comments on board action items? Okay. Up next are the financial business. Do I have a motion and a second to bring about the financials?
Lisa Brand. First, so moved.
Kevin Root, second.
Discussion on the financials. For those that are new, you can see we have a listing of the bills. We have all those different things on there. We have the delegate resolution, activity reports. If there are no questions, we'll move to vote. Christine.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Ridley?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Owens?
Yes.
Mr. Root?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Okay, up next is 11, personnel items. We have one. Do I have a motion and a second to bring about the personnel?
Move Natalie Smart.
Any discussion on personnel? As you can see, there were some resignations, some hires, some athletics. But if there's no questions, we'll move on to voting. Christine?
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, up next is 12, contracts and agreements. Do I have a motion and a second to bring this about?
Motion.
Any discussion on contracts? This is our contract updated for our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Mr. Toscano.
I think I'd just like to clarify that it's just a procedural change to allow Mr. Toscano to complete the necessary requirements to perform the role as an assistant superintendent and get his commission. So we've worked with Mr. Barrett to make that happen, and it requires us to basically revote on his contract and change the date of his start. So I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on that? Okay, Christine.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Okay, there are no policies. There's no curriculum instruction items. Up next is 15, transportation items. Do I have a motion and a second for transportation items? Hey, any discussion? This is about a field trip request list and our updated driver list. Any questions?
I noticed a small typo, I think, on the field trip report.
Okay,
I mean, unless we're sending 95 chaperones to the Northern Career Center.
Yeah, we probably.
Yeah. So just, it looks like the last three, the numbers have been transposed, so just if we can update that.
got it, yep.
Okay. Yeah.
You'll make that change?
We're probably sending
Okay.
6 chaperones and 95.
That's what I figured. So I just, but just we'll make sure we get the document updated as well.
We're really trying to.
Okay, so Christine will make that change.
Thank you.
Yeah,
The last three.
last three, I think. Yeah, last three. Okay, good catch. Any other questions? All right, Christine, move to vote, please.
Mr. Frisbee? Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mrs. Minnick? Mr. Owen?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mrs. Braun?
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
And Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Sorry, I should have, this wasn't on the transportation, but it looks like the Science Olympiad they're having at locations this year.
I'm sorry. Yes, I was actually quite surprised that they were going to do the first one remote, but they do have some actual locations this year. I'm excited for them to do that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
The Science Olympiad, it's nice to see that they're actually going to have an opportunity to go out and compete versus just doing it remotely again.
In the room.
I could never figure out how that happened, but kudos to them.
All right, number 16, building and grounds. We have our Sunday facility use request for December and January. Do we have any motion and a second to approve that? Any discussion on that? As you can see, it's most of it, almost, I think all of it is for the local police department for basketball working out. No questions, we'll move to vote. Go ahead, Christine.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mrs. Braun?
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is 17, other items. We have two on that. Do I have a motion and a second to vote on that and discuss?
Evan Rude, so moved.
Second.
Okay, so this one right here is our 2022 board meeting dates and locations. It also has on here our committees, when we meet for committees. And like I said earlier, we're going to talk about committees in the next meeting and who has what committees. You can see that they're here at the admin office, and then we do go out to other schools. And we've done that in the past to get out and see the different buildings. And it goes all the way to next December. And then also letter B is to approve the formation of the high school girls wrestling program. Any discussion on that?
So it appears the meetings are the first and the third week of the month, is that?
Second, fourth, yeah, depending on,
Okay,
yeah.
So there is a week in between them. So
Yeah. So what we normally do is the work session, we discuss it, the following meeting's voting. Yeah, it's different than this meeting. We meet once, usually in November and December.
And July.
In July, sorry. Okay, if there's no other questions, we'll vote to approve.
I'm sorry. Did you say
I'm sorry.
Did you say there's 1 week in between them? Am I looking at that incorrectly?
Which one?
Yeah, so,
There's
yeah, there's 2 weeks in between that allows, you kind of basically meet every 2 weeks. It's kind of, yeah, the way it kind of works out for you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll vote to approve.
Mrs. Minnick? Yes. Mr. Owen?
Yes.
Mr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Smart?
Yes.
Mrs. Braun?
Yes.
Mr. Cheresnowski?
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper? Yes. Mr. Frisbee?
Yes.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'd like to comment, thank you to the board for approving the formation of a high school girls wrestling program. I think this is an excellent step forward in our district to allow more access to activities that promote healthy living and competitiveness, and also encourages students to find the student athlete in them. So thank you for that.
Okay, now we're back to visitor comments. Please give your name, address, and any subject matter. If it's requested, the comments be kept to 3 minutes. Comments relative to private student or employee matters should be directed to the superintendent outside of the meeting. Go ahead, sir.
How's it going? Larry Chilson. Yeah. So the question was, who's in charge of the curriculum here for the students? Sweet. How do we make our kids smarter? Because I mean, we have kids graduating, they can't sign their name. Kids that can't cook, clean, y'all got rid of home ec. They can't do anything. They don't even know anything about credit. You know, like that's pretty important for kids to know how to do a checkbook, money. A lot of books that y'all have in schools. I mean, I'll even purchase the books myself and give to the kids, you know, in grades if y'all will administer them to the students so that they can be educated. Because there's so much knowledge out there, but it's not available to them. And that's a huge problem. Because it's 2021 and like everyone has a cell phone in their pocket. No one even knows how to work the thing. You know, if the smartest people in the world are teaching themselves how to code and stuff, why don't we teach our kids anything about coding? How to actually code computers and stuff. Oh, sweet. That's something I didn't know. Cool. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. Well, certainly. Yeah, love to.
Mr. Chilson, I appreciate your question, and I do think if you sit down with Mr. Toscano, I'd love to hear more
We
about
definitely
it.
need a smarter society around here, and there's so much knowledge out here that you know, people should be available to them versus having to go out and look for it.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate your feedback too as a business owner. And make sure you sit down and talk to Mr. Toscano and share everything with him.
Oh yeah, most certainly.
Thank you very much.
For your budgets and stuff, how do you get copies of that?
Copies of the budget. So you see our audit. You can see our audit, which is basically our yearly budget.
Sweet.
And that is kept online. You can find it on our district website, or if you have any trouble finding it, you can contact myself or Christine, and we can provide you a copy. It's public knowledge.
Awesome. Love
Yep.
to.
I'm a new member, and that was a question I had. So when you meet in Mr. Toscano, there's a thing called a pacing guide for each class, and it will tell you the whole curriculum from A to Z and what.
Yeah, it needs to be fixed because I mean I moved up here 10th grade year, moved back to this area, and they had me tutoring seniors. So I mean the education program offered me nothing, and I'm not super smart by any means at all. So I mean I was in a regular class down there where I came from. So something should be addressed up here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Chilson.
I appreciate that.
Any other visitor comments?
I'm Deb Huber,